Sorry, I went back. All right, I went back 20. I'm sorry. She's much better looking and smart. So, Clerk Sanders, please take the roll.
Trustee Reed.
Here.
Clerk Sanders here. Treasurer Kavanaugh. Here. Trustee King.
Here.
Trustee Jackson.
Here.
Trustee Taylor.
Here.
Supervisor McCray.
Here. Mr. President, now will you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing as the Honorable Carla Sanders gives our invocation.
Almighty God, we acknowledge that you will hold us to account for the way that we legislate and administer the affairs of our township and its fine people. We pray for your guidance as we do so. We pray that you would find us protecting the rights of all at all times, that our community and this nation will fulfill all of your purpose. Amen.
Amen. Okay, next is the approval of the agenda.
To the chair.
Trustee Taylor,
I move that we approve the agenda.
Support.
support by Clerk Sanders. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have several citizen comments. The first person is Katrina Vaughn. And please, this is 3 minutes for you guys to talk and us to listen. Make sure you give your name and address if you will at the mic. That would be great.
Good evening, members of the board and township residents. My name is Katrina Vaughn, address 14662 Lenore. I stand before you today for the second time to address an urgent matter, one that I believe speaks to the core of our values as a community. As many of you know, that on June 1st, my son and a fellow rider, a pair of young, respectful individuals, were unfairly cited and detained by Officer Smith, badge number 180, while they were pumping gas on Telegraph Road. They were harassed without probable cause, and the officers' actions reflected not just poor judgment, but a bias. When I spoke here on June 10th, I clearly outlined my concerns. The incident was not just about a ticket, it was about fairness, discretion, and the misuse of authority. I requested two things, which was a public apology and a dismissal of the ticket. Unfortunately, none of those requests have been addressed, so I'm here today to demand accountability and resolution. So I'm gonna do a quick recap of the events. June 1st, the incident occurred. June 4th, a formal complaint. June 4th, I received an email from Chief Mansfield. I thank you for the follow-up, Chief Mansfield. June 10th, Trustee Jackson expressed support for my concerns, acknowledging that harassment of local and visiting residents cannot be tolerated here in the township. Thank you, Trustee Jackson, for supporting me. I appreciate that. June 12th, Lieutenant Piquel took over the investigation. June 19th, I received a letter from Captain Burris stating that Officer Smith had acted within departmental policy. The letter even suggested that if I had video footage, I should send it. However, when I inquired about the body cam footage, I didn't receive that. June 20th, I received a call from Lieutenant Piquel, and we had a productive conversation, and I appreciate that. While I appreciate everybody's efforts to calm the situation, the issue remains unresolved. Here's my core concerns. We have a situation with two officers, both following the same policies and procedures, and they are at odds on the assessment of the event. Officer Smith misjudged the event, and I understand that Officer Smith is learning from this experience, and I'm sympathetic to that, but let's be clear, he's learning at the expense of my son. We cannot allow the growth of one officer to come at the cost of someone's dignity, freedom, of peace. This is not just a matter of a single ticket or a small grievance. It's about ensuring that we as a township uphold standards and fairness and justice that we all deserve. If you truly believe that this situation is just, and I asked you, how would you feel if this happened to your son? Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next is Michelle Peter.
Hello, Michelle Peter, 9207 Columbia.
First of all, I wanted to thank you, the Beautification Committee, for planting a beautiful tree in my front yard. It's 2 years old now, and it's growing, and it's gorgeous, and I love that we're replacing those old dead trees with new ones, so thank you for that. The other thing is I had a concern about some of the access on the sidewalk, especially on Beach Daily. My husband and I love to bike ride, and on Beach Daily between Ross and Graham, there's some overhanging branches that are very low, and so if you're riding your bike there, you're right next to the road, and also there's mud there. It hasn't been cleaned off. So there's overgrowth of grass there, and it's just really dangerous. A lot of times I'll ride my bike up here to come to a meeting, and the last time I did it, it was really uncomfortable because it was so bad there, and having to dodge not only the branches, but then the ruts and what's supposed to be the sidewalk. And then the other area was between Puritan and Lola Drive. My husband and I were riding our bike under there, and again, low-hanging branches. There were some patch jobs on the sidewalk, and my husband fell into the street. And it's just very dangerous, and I don't know who takes charge of that, if it's county, if it's Redford Township, but I would just ask that you look into those things and cut back the overgrowth there, and make sure the sidewalks are safe for those of us that like to use the sidewalks. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. David Valencia.
Good evening, trustees and neighbors. I am David Valencia, address 25905 6 Mile, Redford. I'm here tonight to speak about something many of us in Redford have experienced, the frustrating cycle of trying to get basic issues resolved and getting nowhere. Time after time, residents bring up legitimate concerns like crumbling roads, persistent flooding, air quality issues, only to be bounced between the township, county, and other authorities. No one takes clear ownership, and the responsibility always seems to end roughly where the jurisdiction begins. We have heard these stories in this room and published online time and time. Going off script here, we just heard, not exactly that issue, but this is the seed of an issue like that, because it's like she's talking to you about what I assume is a county issue, you know? So, and then this is something that seems to get lost in the abyss, whether it's on SeeClickFix or however. We're not asking for miracles, we're asking for follow through, we're asking for transparency, we're asking for our expectations to be managed. We're just asking for the township to take on tasks larger than citing residents for their bins being left out too long and taking on these bigger challenges. We're asking for the township to fight for us when the county or another agency isn't doing their job. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. John Keenan.
Good evening. As you probably know, I write much better than I speak, so giving you a little rendition you can read at your leisures. And then quiet places of your home, maybe in front of a fireplace or two. Have a better place to stay. And anyway, I tell you, I want to share this information with you. I mean, I'm not trying to be difficult, but I recently went to State Farm to look at my auto insurance on my vehicle, and I found out that it was really just out of sight. They wanted like $2,000 to fully insure my Jeep, to insure my Jeep vehicle. And I did some research, and you know, I'm familiar with AI a little bit, and I looked at some rates, and I've attached that to my memo there. Indicates that Redford Township has one of the highest auto theft rates in the nation. And I can understand because of the geographical nature of it. However, it certainly doesn't help me as a resident or anybody else. And I'm not slighting the police department or the chief of police, because quite frankly, I really think that they do a wonderful job. But I understand a little bit about insurance business, and I understand that if you have a high theft rate in an area, insurance companies are more interested in their profit more, and if they're going to adjust their premiums accordingly. And so I'm just suggesting, and although I really like the commercials that Flo has with Progressive and Liberty Mutual and all that, but it certainly doesn't help me when I'm paying the premium. So one of the suggestions I have is because the township controls the streets, the inner streets, they don't control the main roads, but they do control the inner streets. And I'm suggesting maybe we be a little creative and put a barrier at one or two places where there is a high theft area to see if that will work. If it doesn't work, that's fine, but it just could work. And so I've attached my little rendition there, and I hope you'll take it under consideration. Thank you very much. Have a nice evening.
Thank you. Mitch? I don't know how to say your last name, Mitch, so I apologize.
That's okay. Hazim.
Hazim?
Hazim.
Okay, Hazim.
Hazim, how are you?
Good.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be here. So my name is Mitch Hazimi. I own 2 child cares in the city of Dearborn, and they're called Children's Garden. One of them is in East Dearborn on Miller Road, and the other one is at Henry Ford College right on the campus for the last 4 years. So the first one I had 19 years ago, and the second one 4 years ago at the campus. I have an offer to purchase 9640 Laverne, the church. I don't know if you guys know where it's at, but that is the address. I hope you would look into it. It's pretty old. It needs a lot of help, and pretty much my investment could be anywhere from $2 to $3 million to make it into a child care, a high-end child care, a real nice child care. What I would ask and hope all of you are welcome to come to Children's Garden 1, or whoever wants to come, see what I provide, see what I do, and then go from there, because my amount that I put in there in my contingency is the fact if the city's not aboard, then obviously I'm not going to do anything. So anytime I do a project, I make sure I go to the neighbors, I meet the council people, I meet whoever I need to meet to make sure that is what you want in your city. And if you allow me to come to your city, you will see what I will do for all the children, preschoolers from 0 to 5 years of age. And I also offer up to 12 for summer camp. But I would hope and pray that you, whoever needs to, Ms. Sanders, hi. We did speak a few times, and I appreciate for allowing me to come to speak here today. And I do have one of your colleagues that has their children at Children's Garden 1, Mr. Bird. So there you go. He's got 3 children there. So Mr. Bird knows firsthand what I offer and what I do. And my center, the first one, houses almost 200 children. The second one, close to 100. This building can do a lot more, of course. It's huge, but it also has a lot of updating to do. So if you'd give me the honor and pleasure to seeing you guys, I appreciate your time, and thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have Director Dennis to give his departmental report.
Mr. Supervisor, honorable board, I have prepared a presentation on behalf of the Water and Sewer Division for the last fiscal year. I'm going to kind of cut and chase through this as we just had a study session about the upcoming budget. So I'm just going to kind of go through this and get some bullet points. Currently, we do have a staff of 1 superintendent, 1 foreman, a utility operator, 3, we have 2 of those, and 12 utility 2 workers and 5 account clerks. We do have 3 vacancies currently within the water and sewer department, utility worker 2 positions, and we have received many applications. Hope to be interviewing some staff here in the next few weeks. It was brought up, we did have quite a few water main breaks last year. Our staff did an excellent job. They worked a lot of long hours. was over a 10 to 12-week period, and they worked their tail off. The frost was bad, and they worked. There were some days they did 2 or 3 a day. So I'd like to give a shout out to Tom Rowland, our water superintendent, Sean St. Beal, our water foreman, and our staff for doing such a great job. Our next topic is regarding our action level exceedance. Currently, Redford Township is in a continuance from our October 23 action level exceedance due to lead service lines, and it was continued August of 24. What that means at this point is that we had some homes that are tested that exceeded in 2024 above the 0.15 parts per billion. I will tell you this, that limit has now, that level's gone down to 0.12 parts per billion, which in turn will bring, as it did for us, but also many communities surrounding us, you'll start seeing more and more communities that will be hitting and having an action level exceedance due to these lead lines. And again, these were not lines that were installed by Redford Township. These were on private lines, whoever built the home, 1910, 1930, or 1950. We are currently still in the action level exceedance. We have an excellent website. We have a page on our website that is just devoted to the action level exceedance, and there is so much information on this link. Check it out. It gives you so much information regarding filters and aerators and education materials, and we stress that please check it out. Also, we still ask folks who don't know if they want to know. It's free for Redford Township staff to come out to your home. Call the water department at 313-387-2670, and Redford Township Water Department staff will go to your water meter and see what type of piping material you have in your home that is coming up from the outside. I'd like to commend Superintendent Rowland. He has completed the 2024 Consumer Confidence Report that will be mailed out to all Redford Township customers, users, by June 30th, so next week. It has some great information. He did a wonderful job, and that should be mailed out next week. I want to touch base on just a few miscellaneous water projects that we have ongoing. I have come up to the township board. We will be upgrading our meter interface units at all of our residential and commercial properties. We're going from called an R450 to an R900. This board did approve the purchase of all of these units back in May. And we have just received bids for installation of all of these units. It will be done over a 3-year period, so we're not able to get all of these installed in 1 year. We're going to be doing it over a 3-year period in districts, starting from the south end. There's more homes in that area, so we're going to be starting in 3 districts every 2 miles. Go from Joy to Schoolcraft is District 1. Schoolcraft to 6 Mile will be District 2 will be done next fiscal year, and from 6 Mile to 8 Mile will be done in fiscal year 27. Excuse me, fiscal year 28. It's already fiscal year 26. We are also starting back our cross-connection control inspection program that will be inspecting backflow prevention on commercial, industrial, and residential structures. This is something that we will be going out to bid here in the next 30 to 60 days for a private contractor. We have an ongoing sanitary sewer lining projects, and we'll be pushing for additional funding in the future as we have a need to continue these programs moving forward with the age of our sanitary sewers. Our hydrant flushing program, we are looking to have that done semi-annually at a minimum by our water department staff. And I did discuss earlier regarding our technology upgrades that we would like to begin and keep moving forward with, especially through the ArcGIS field map system that helps for layered maps for our water utilities, gas utilities, valves, turning, program, equipment, etc. The next part is our special funding opportunities. It was discussed earlier, the water department has a large amount of projects we are working on. Many, in different phases. And I will tell you that we have applied for multiple grant opportunities out there. We did receive some funds from the township for our phase 1. Now, you're gonna kind of like, wow. We have lead replacement service line replacement and investigations, and they're in multiple phases. And I have to put multiple phases because they have multiple funding sources. So I'm going to use a lot of acronyms, and I apologize. Don't know whether I can keep them moving forward in regards to some of these funding opportunities. But we just completed our phase 1 of lead service line replacements. That got completed in the spring. We did almost 140 houses. We spent $1.3 million. Redford Township was awarded a grant, a federal earmark, and that was for fiscal year '24, an amount of $1 million. We will be allocating those funds primarily for lead investigations only, as we have approximately 4,500 unknown properties built between 1910 and 1950 that we do not have paperwork on to identify what sort of service line they have. We did receive a grant last year from Eagle for a TMF grant. It's a technical managerial and financial grant that allowed us, that was $542,000, and I will be happy to say we spent every dime minus $4,300. We went down to the house. We verified 773. We were able to investigate 773 homes, and out of the 773, 64 were identified as a lead service line. So it's approximately a little less than 10% of all the homes that we are investigating do come back as lead, and then we're using funds to then get rid of that lead as soon as possible, those lead lines. We did apply for a fiscal year 2025 earmark, and we were moving forward to get that approved, but Congress canceled all earmarks this year. So that was canceled. That was going to be $1 million. So we reapplied for fiscal year 26 with the same program, and we're hoping that we are granted those dollars. On section G, just really fast, I'm just going to throw some of these out at you. We have currently, as we stated, we have phase 1 of lead service line replacement is completed. We just completed phase 1 of lead investigations, and that was through the TMF grant. The drinking water SRF that the board has approved will be considered phase 2 on both lead replacement and lead investigation. We also, later tonight, we have a Michigan Enhancement Grant, which is $2 million, and $1.2 million will be going toward lead replacement, and $800,000 will be going to lead investigation, which is about another 700 homes that we can investigate in the ground outside to see what sort of service line they have. Then I jumped to phase 4 for the HUD grant, which now we're putting all about $1 million, $1.2 million into lead investigations. Because at that point, I don't have any more houses to replace for lead we've identified off of the investigations. So this year alone, we are going to be completing 3 phases of lead replacement services and 4 rounds of lead investigations, which we're hoping will bring that number. We had 5,000 unknowns last year. We're hoping that gets down to under 2,000, if not less than that. We just finished a water main project at 5 Mile at Bell Creek. Obviously, we have another water main bid that's coming in this Thursday. And we'll be bringing that back to the board on July 22nd. And we have our project again at the North CSO. We're doing some updates. I'm not going to spend a lot of time in regards to CSO. We've spent a lot of time on that already. They are moving forward, as many of you see on Beach Daily Road. And the contractors just had some bad luck with the weather. Weather's been tough for them. They're doing the best they can. They've already started running some sewer collector lines. If you've been by the Roosevelt site, you'll see it looks pretty cool. Just for the fact there's a giant hole in the ground where it's going to be collecting in the sewers, and it is construction. I know that neighbors don't like it, and I'm not meaning to say that. But we've also made a link on our township website that you can check And we have photos on there every month of the progress of the project. And you can see they started in January and then pictures are through May. And they look pretty interesting, seeing the piping that's being installed and things of that nature. I'm just going to finish up with public services and just a couple road projects. And this is about water, but they are currently finishing up the project on Inkster Road. They're repaving from Joy Road to West Chicago. They're wrapping up a little sooner than what they thought. All the asphalt was installed last week. I expect it to be striped in the next few weeks. That project will be done. Then they're supposed to be bidding out from West Chicago all the way to Schoolcraft. They're doing 1.5 miles. I don't know why they did do a mile and a mile, but doing 1.5 miles. And that should be hopefully bid out this year. I don't know if they're going to get it done this year, but if not, it'll go till next spring. Also, the county will be repaving Schoolcraft, both eastbound and westbound, from Inkster to Telegraph. Wayne County staff themselves doing this. This is what their plan is until we see it, but they're going to be doing that project. They're doing a traffic signal update at Beach Daily and 7 Mile. In 2026. And lastly, I'm just going to finish with this. The supervisor and I have met with Wayne County. They are bringing back the Township Initiative Paving Program after being canceled for about 6 years. It was a 50% matching program, which the township is matching it. It's not a lot of money. It's something that, because there are 11 townships in the county, and they're trying to equitably disperse these funds. So we have a PACER rating, as we call it. Our PACER rating is something that rates the roads, and we do have some east-west and north-south secondary streets that will be paved. The difference in this program now is the county did the work before. We have to bid it out. So I can't bid it out until we get authorization and until I hear back from Wayne County, which I don't expect anything back till August or September, and then try to bid it out. I don't see it getting done this year unless the county moves a little faster. But it is something that we did apply for. We did for the application in April, and then it was finalized in May. So that's the update. Any questions?
Questions from the board? I know there's a lot going on with Mike's department all over the place, so if you have something specific, I'm sure we'd be glad to share it with you.
To the chair.
Treasurer Kavanaugh.
Get out of here.
Just a quick question, and I don't know if it's under your purview, but you said the hydrant flushing. I know that there was a plan to paint, and do you replace also if you find that the hydrant isn't working appropriately?
We always replace if there's a non-functioning hydrant, always. We do keep those in stock, so we found something. We have not discussed painting yet. I shouldn't say that. Supervisor reached out to me just last week and asked me about looking at a program, and so we will start doing that. But it just hasn't been on the radar right now with projects.
Yeah, I know, we talked about it a while ago.
Yeah,
and I was
absolutely.
curious.
If there is a hydrant, absolutely, we'll get it replaced within 24 hours. We had a hydrant that the fire department was doing a demonstration over at St. Val's a few weeks ago, and something happened to it, and so we had to replace it the very next day. They knew about it, and then we replaced it. So.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
Thank you.
No problem.
To the chair,
Trustee Jackson.
Director Janice, do you have any idea how much money we may get for our subdivision roads?
It was only $500,000.
Yeah.
500,000.
Yes. And in the paving world, that's not very much money. Yes.
No. But it's a start. I
It's
just
a start,
wanna say,
absolutely.
because,
Yes.
there are a lot of side streets that are in pretty rough shape. So at least we can get a start, and it's something we didn't have for quite a few years, and we keep trying to work with the county, make sure we get more money to take care of the roads that haven't been done for so long, so.
I have a very long list.
Yes, there is a list.
Yes, there
So,
Yes.
anybody else? Are there any other questions? Thank you, Director Dennis.
Sorry to I'm here. Do you have a list of the homes where you investigated
I know.
where there are
lead? Is there a list of homes that you publish someplace on a website? Or
don't publish it.
No, you don't publish it, but you know about it. You know the list.
Okay. Yes, we did. Okay.
Okay, all right.
Thank you, Mike.
And you're not, and you don't want to disclose it? No,
John.
sir.
John.
But that's fine. I'm just asking.
Thank you, Mike.
All right, thank you.
Fluid.
Okay, next is the consent agenda. Treasurer Kavanaugh.
Thank you, Supervisor McCray. I move to approve the consent agenda items as follows. The minutes for the special meeting of June 10th of 2025. The minutes for the regular meeting of June 10th of 2025. The warrant list of bills as of June 17th of 2025 in the amount of $2,095,847.77.
Support.
Supported by trustee Jackson. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we go to new business. So, Mr. Dennis, you're up for the next 7 in a row.
This is your fault.
Quickly.
So,
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor.
you're welcome.
First item today is the approval for a special use permit for a marijuana retail establishment for application 0325 and also MR-001 Masco Holdings, doing business as King of Buds Redford at 27042 and 27004 7 Mile Road. Their attorney is here in case there were any questions. Sorry, Jason. No, see you over there.
No problem.
The Planning Commission held their hearings, held their meetings in regard to this applicant. The applicant did expand their footprint in regards to their property, and they'll have a building and a very nice parking lot when they're all done. After we went through it, the Planning Commission did all their necessary work. They're outside of all of their buffers, other than the 50-foot buffer, which the Planning Commission waived this buffer requirement and required a 6-foot masonry screen wall. Other than that, it was supported and approved to recommend a move to the Township Board.
Questions from the board? I mean, this is pretty standard as what we've been going through for all of them, unless there's something specific. Anybody? Okay, what's the pleasure of the board?
To the chair.
Trustee Tabler.
I move for the approval of the special use permit for a marijuana retail establishment license for the application 03-25 MR001 Masco Holdings LLC DBA King of Buds Redford at 27004 and 27042 7 Mile Road, Redford, Michigan 48240, subject to the conditions recommended by the Planning Commission.
Support.
Supported by Treasurer Kavanaugh. So the motion is for approval of special use permit for marijuana retail establishment license for application 03-25 MR-001 Masco Holdings LLC, DBA King of Buds Redford at 27004 and 27042 7 Mile Road, Redford, Michigan 48240, subject to the conditions recommended by the Planning Commission. Any other discussion? Roll call vote.
Trustee Kavanaugh, I'm sorry. Treasurer Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Trustee Jackson.
Yes.
Trustee Taylor.
Yes.
Trustee Reed.
Yes.
Clerk Sanders, yes. Trustee King.
Yes.
Supervisor McCray.
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Mr. Dennis, you're up again.
Sir, just gotta grab the next item. In front of you, we have done this a few times in the past. We have in front of you today is the approval of an operation and maintenance agreement, basically between Redford Township and Redford Township. This is not something we've done before in some time. This is for the CSO Basin. So this contract, this maintenance agreement would be between the Charter Township Redford and the Charter Township Redford Public Services Department Water Division. We had to put a underground retention basin due to Wayne County Stormwater Ordinance, which will be on the southeast corner of the property. So it does not run off under ordinance standards, the parking lots and things of that nature. down into the stormwater. It's held and then slowly released. We did the same process recently for the rec center. So actually we haven't done this yet for the rec center, but it's the same process. So this is a, standard agreement. It's basically anything that has a redevelopment of over half an acre of land will need a stormwater agreement, and that's why when we come back to you. That is something that back about 5 or 6 years ago, every county used to have their own ordinance. And then they finally thought about it and said, hey, Wayne, Oakland, Macomb, and Washtenaw, let's get together and make one stormwater ordinance. It's about 500 pages, and it's like a bunch of ink dry, but that's why you have people with P after their name, that's Julie's. So I was looking for approval of the maintenance and operation agreement between Redford Township and Redford Township DPS about the operation and maintenance of the stormwater maintenance system.
Questions from the board? Well, you're doing pretty good explaining stuff. If there's no questions, what's the pleasure of the board?
To the chair.
Trustee Reed.
I move approval of the operation and maintenance agreement between the Charter Township of Redford and the Redford Township Public Services Department / Water Division regarding the operation and the maintenance of the stormwater management system of the Central CSO Basin located at 15210 Aubrey Street, Redford, Michigan 48239.
Support.
Supported by Clerk Sanders. So the motion is for approval of the operation and maintenance agreement between the Charter Township of Redford and the Redford Township Public Service Department / Water Division regarding the operation and maintenance of the stormwater management system on Central CSO Basin located at 15210 Aubrey Street, Redford, Michigan 48239. Any other discussion? Roll call vote.
Trustee King?
Yes.
Trustee Taylor?
Yes.
Trustee Jackson?
Yes.
Clerk Sanders, yes. Trustee Reese?
Yes.
Treasurer Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Supervisor McCray?
Yes, motion carries.
Mr. Supervisor.
Mr. Dennis.
Also, part 2 of this, as a separate item, is the approval of the resolution of the long-term maintenance and stormwater management system for the Charter Township of Redford. So this is a resolution that we are to review and approve concerning the same agreement that this has all of the assigned permit numbers through Wayne County. It does also attach the diagrams and the design of the system itself. And it does authorize myself, Public Service Director, to execute on behalf of the Charter Township of Redford, permit number M25-005 for long-term maintenance of the stormwater system. It just allows both the supervisor and the clerk to sign and for the clerk to certify this resolution.
Okay, questions from the board? Hearing no questions, what's the pleasure of the board?
To the chair.
Trustee Reese.
I move approval of the resolution of long-term maintenance stormwater management system, Charter Township of Redford, Central CSO, RTB.
Support.
Supported by Trustee Taylor. So the motion is approval of the resolution on long-term maintenance of storm water management system, Charter Township of Redford, Central CSO RTB. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Treasurer Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Clerk Sanders, yes. Trustee Jackson?
Yes.
Trustee Reese?
Yes.
Trustee Taylor?
Yes.
Trustee King?
Yes.
Supervisor McCray?
Yes, motion carries. Director Dennis.
Just like, just kidding.
Come on, Mr. Dennis.
Absolutely, yeah, I got it organized.
Okay.
Mr. Supervisor, honorable board. Recently, it's been discussed about installing new backup generators at 5 of our buildings for different sizes and uses. They'd be in regards to a new generator, backup generator would be needed at Glennis Golf Course or the pump house outside. I'll come back to that. Township Hall, Minnock Meadows, the Public Service Building, and Community Center. These are not to be, just so you know, they're not going to be like the train that they have outside of PD where it's running the entire building. The ones here, the Community Center, DPS, and Town Hall would be to run somewhat of our communications. To, a few lights, our phones, computers, things of that nature, so we can still be operational in case there's, severe weather, some sort of tragedy. So those are smaller units that are considered a 20 kW. The unit at Minnock would be considered 150 kW. Our prior property manager, Mr. Robert Roach, and current property manager Tim Young are very adamant that if we're installing a generator, it better move the elevator. So, many times. They just had an issue last night where they had a phase issue, and overnight the elevator was not working. They had a power outage, and they had DT finally out there today. It's working right now. I can't guarantee you the phases, but this is supposed to be able to help us with that. And then at Glenhurst, that would be 150 kW. And the reason we're looking at that unit was that if we have a power outage for an extended period of time at the golf course, it kills the business. The pump house runs the water that irrigates the golf course. And if you have dead grass, you got no business. You have zero business. No one wants to golf on brown grass. They want lush grass. And so there's an area outside that actually would take some new gas lines, a gas line for Puritan, it's an open cut, and also at Minnock we are putting in one in the northeast corner. We moved it closer, but that would need a new gas line. The other ones are next to the buildings. We found a nice location. So these are also different funding sources, and they're detailed on the memo as well. So we did go out to bid, received bids from 6 different companies, and the lowest bidder that we're recommending is Mastercraft CGE Electric, which is based here in Redford Township, with the lowest, most qualified bid of $376,800. I am asking for the recommendation of this contractor for this amount to complete the installation of these units.
To the chair.
Treasurer Campbell.
Adam, at some point, can you send us the amounts for each of the funds broken down?
They are in the bid documents. It shows by building.
Oh.
It's actually, I didn't attach it.
No?
Oh,
I can send it.
but we do have it by building, yes.
Okay, I appreciate it.
And we were anticipating this project, so it was all budgeted for in each of those funds.
Okay.
In the budgets that you approved back in March.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions from the board?
To the chair.
Trustee Jackson.
Mike, any feelings about why the bid amounts were spread out so much?
I think one reason that it did help out was that CG is a local company. CG has done work throughout the community, knows the buildings. The other companies, I think, are also a little bit bigger. I mean, the highest bidder was from Mount Pleasant. So, I mean, that kind of tells you right there. But, the other ones were all within, and it's also the product. They are using Generac, and others were using Kohlers and things of that nature. He is a Generac dealer, so he can provide it himself. He does not have to go to a third-party dealer and purchase these. So I think I think that may have helped out a little bit in our bidding as well.
Thank you.
Yep.
Other questions from the board?
To the chair.
Trustee Reed.
Director Dennis, what is the expected lifespan of these units?
I couldn't tell you.
It's a long time.
Hopefully a long time. I mean, they're being used. We'll get them tested, keep a maintenance log on them.
Okay.
But as well as we keep them maintained, I hope a very long time. The fact if they're not being used means we're not losing power.
Yeah. And is that, I guess typically these are determined by like hours of runtime, the
Yes,
lifespan? So
yes.
if you're running them all the time, you're
For
going
all
to.
the time, you're going to, yes.
And then for all of these, they're all new units and that they're not existing backup generators for these buildings?
Brand new.
All new, okay.
Brand new. Yep.
Thank you.
To the chair,
Treasurer Kavanaugh.
just a generic question. Do you look at any of these companies being union shops?
No.
Okay.
We don't ask that question. We only ask that, I mean, I'd not even really ask that because this was not a prevailing wage project, so we don't ask that question.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions from the board? Hearing none, what's the pleasure of the board?
To the chair,
Clerk Sanders.
I move for the approval of the bid recommendation, backup generator installation project, Redford Township, multiple building facilities be awarded to Mastercraft CGE Electric, Redford, Michigan, 48239, in the amount of $367,800 to be paid from the Fund 592, Water Department, Fund 584, Glenhurst, Fund 536, 6, Minnock Meadows, and Fund 402, Capital Improvements.
Support.
Support by Treasurer Kavanaugh. So motion is approval of bid recommendation, backup generator installation project, Redford Township, multiple building facilities be awarded to Mastercraft CGE Electric, Redford, Michigan, 48239, in the amount of $376,800 to be paid from Fund 592, Water Department 584, Glenhurst, Fund 536, Minnock Meadows, and Fund 402, Capital Improvements. Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Trustee Reese?
Yes.
Clerk Sanders, yes. Treasurer Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Trustee King?
Yes.
Trustee Jackson?
Yes.
Trustee Taylor?
Yes.
Supervisor McCray?
Yes, motion carries. Director Dennis.
Mr. Supervisor, honorable board, in front of you is a memo requesting a temporary noise waiver for the central CSO basin. What the contractor has requested here is it's only for 2 days, and they'd be starting an hour and a half early, is they have to pour 7 feet thick worth of concrete. And in the first day, they're looking for 800 cubic yards, and the second day is 580 cubic yards. This is for the wet well foundation, which is where the water comes into, and they have to do it. Obviously, there's a lot of testing as they're putting it through, but the first pour, I guess 800 cubic yards, will be somewhere probably in the 3 to 4 foot range thickness, and then they let it settle for almost a month, for a good 3.5 weeks, then they come back and then pour the other 3 feet on top of it. With the testing and requirements in the foundations, it has to be that thick, obviously, just for the fact it's a foundation and the wet well itself. We are hoping that it's only for these 2 days. They will grant, or they will let us know in advance. They had to push it back a little bit make sure they had enough preparation. They will, as they have been, notify all the neighbors. These trucks will not be sitting there. These trucks will be coming and going. Each truck can hold maybe 10 yards. So these are, the first day, you're talking 80 truckloads of concrete coming off of Beach Daily. So it's not going through there, but coming off, 5 Mile.
5 Mile.
Coming through, and they're going to hit the entrance right there on the northwest corner, and then come back around and go back out the side and go right back out the same way. It's going to be nonstop. They're not going to be sitting there waiting to get their turn, because concrete can't sit there. Concrete has to be moving and going so it can set up properly. This will just be an ongoing, I don't know who their concrete supplier is, but they brought in pros to do this. This is I think an out-of-state company that's doing this work for them, for CCC and Toby. I think it's more for CCC. And so they were asking the board if they could just grant them on these 2 days only. Right now, tentatively, the week of July 28th will be 1 day, and the week of August 18th, 1 day. And they did also attach a letter that I did attach asking for this request, and there was a diagram on how they were going to pour it, and also there was a foundation in and out. So I'm asking the board if they would grant their waiver. And the reason they're asking for the waiver is there's not enough time in the day. Sun goes down, and so they need to have the time to pour. They need to start a little bit earlier so they can start getting things moving and pour it in the ground, and then keep it from there. If not, if the sun was, and those are the peak hours too. These are going to be peak time. That's why they pushed it back as well.
So, Director Dennis, I guess my concern is there's going to be somebody out there managing when they actually start. Because if they supposed to start at 5:30 and they decide, well, it's light out and it's 4 o'clock, let's get started right now. I don't want to have that call at 4 o'clock or 4:30 in the morning.
They actually want to start at 5, and I pushed it to 5:30.
Well, but somebody's going to be out there and make sure that it
100%.
happens at 5:30.
Wait trim is always on site.
Okay.
If they're there, our people are there.
I mean, I know that we have to do it this way, I just need to make sure it's managed and they don't try to pick up a little extra time or something.
I will
and they start
guarantee
too
you they
early.
will not start until 5:30.
No, they only pour when the weather's right. If it's raining, they're not going to pour.
No, absolutely not. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So, and the residents are going to be notified of the dates as soon as, when we approve them, and they're going to be notified the day ahead if they're canceling?
Absolutely.
And
They've been knocking on doors.
Okay.
I've been very diligent about it.
It's something we need to do, but also, I'm feeling a little bit for the people that live over there because they had to listen to the banging and they got all the stuff that goes on with construction.
Yes.
When it's done, it's going to benefit everybody and it'll be beautiful, but they have to live through it, so we want to make sure that we do everything to consider what's going on over there for them.
Yes.
So, questions from the board?
To the chair.
Trustee Jackson.
Mike, when the people are notified, I know they knock on doors, but is there also something in writing that's left?
Yes, there is. And we also post on our website too. Any letter that is going out to a resident, we put it on as an alert on the website, as I spoke earlier. So there is actually in the CSO link, there is a alert area that I have. So anytime that CCC or Toby are changing, if they're going to pulverize a road or they're going to close a road, we put an alert on there for the residents, for the township residents in general, if they want to see what's going on. So, but they take they knock on the door first, talk to them if they have a route diagram or something. They discuss it with every neighbor, and they keep a tally of it.
To the chair.
Trustee Taylor.
Couple of questions, Mike. I'm assuming this is a weekday project and won't be on the weekend.
Correct.
Second question, I don't know if it's something you can answer or if it is maybe more in the purview of the chief. I know that we have an alert system that can target certain neighborhoods. Is that like you do when you have water main breaks and such like that? Is that a service that you can use instead of having people to go to our website and find the page and look for the alert versus getting one?
I don't think we want to do that. This is like 12 houses.
Oh,
all
that's
it
it?
is. Yeah, that's all it is.
Oh, so
Aubrey
you're not
Street,
walking
just
an
Aubrey
entire
Street.
neighborhood?
No,
Okay.
this is from Aubrey Street, from 5 Mile to the end of the property. They're only on one side of the street. I think there's not even a dozen houses.
Okay, so it's easy enough to walk and knock doors then?
Absolutely.
Okay,
They're right there.
okay, easy enough, thank you.
No problem.
Other questions from the board? Hearing none, what's the pleasure of the board?
To the chair.
Trustee Jackson.
I move the approval of request for Commercial Contracting Corporation to grant a temporary variance to the local noise ordinance pertaining to the mass pouring of concrete at the Central CSO Basin project.
Support.
Supported by Treasurer Kavanaugh. The motion is for approval of the request from Commercial Contracting Corporation, CCC, to grant a temporary variance to the local noise ordinance pertaining to the mass pouring of concrete at the Central CSO Basin project. Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Director Dennis.
Can we take it 5 minutes?
No,
Just messing.
No.
Mr. Supervisor, on all board. These next two items are together. These are grants that we have received from the state of Michigan, the Michigan Enhancement Grant, from the hard work and perseverance from our state senator, Mary Kavanaugh. She presented this to us last year, and it was funding for the CSO basin in the amount of $3 million, funding for our lead programs, $2 million, and $150,000 for the DDA. So I'm here in front of you in regards to the first part of this, which was funding for the CSO basin. We have been working together with the Eagle staff since January, if not before, but January, with applications, paperwork, plans, statements, updates. We've been jumping through, it was earmarked, but we had to jump through a lot of hoops. And so my office we've turned it all in, and in front of you is the grant agreement that is for the $3 million. The project name is Wastewater Infrastructure Improvements, and that's just the term that they used at the state. This would be allocated to the CSO Central Basin project. There was no matching funds, and we have up to, I think, 12 months, have until May 15th of 2028 to use these funds, and I let them know they'll be utilized in about 90 days. So they at first thought we could use our planning and design, and that had already passed us by, so it'll be for construction. And right now we're averaging in the range between $2 and $3 million a month in the current billings that they're doing. So this will be utilized quickly. Be the fastest grant I think we ever spent, to be honest with you. But if it wasn't for our state senator going to bat for us, we would not have these additional dollars for the CSO basin. It is a huge help to us. And one of the things too that we had to do with the help of Director Bonner was they're going to be revising our bond at the state, reducing it by the $3 million, and which will save us a few dollars in interest, I suspect. Because since our bond is from the state through the Eagle program, they had to separate it completely because they can't, if they're bonding us here, they can't give us more funds here. So they had to, decrease it. So it could work. Whatever the accounting people do.
Checks and balances.
Checks and balances that way. So I'm asking this board to please authorize the grant agreement between the Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy, and Redford Township to approve the grant in the amount of $3 million.
So I just want to say that this is not the first time Senator Kavanaugh has done well by us. We're very fortunate to have her. She looks out for the township. She lives here. She believes in this community, and she does everything she can to financially help us in all kinds of different ways. And even if it's not money, she's speaking on our behalf. So we're very fortunate to have her. And I think this is great that we're getting $3 million. Questions from the board?
To the chair.
Trustee Jackson.
I know Mary worked really hard to get this $3 million. Is this a one and done, or do we have an opportunity in the future to get additional funds toward this over time?
I think it's all based on their negotiations in Lansing. That's where this came from. So I can't speak on, obviously, for her, but I would love to see if she pushes again. She was applying. There was something going on that I think you and I discussed regarding sidewalks. It was discussed by one of our residents, and I think we found out about a grant at 9 o'clock, and I had till 10 a.m. to turn a grant application in, and I did.
So you don't need to sleep?
Yeah. No, it was at 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. I had an hour.
Oh,
and
wow.
An hour, and we turned it in, and it was for for $1 million to install sidewalks in areas we don't have them here in the township. I haven't heard back, but that was a few months ago.
That's great.
So she was fighting for that grant as well, so that's a big thank you to her.
How long is the CSO project from start to finish?
3 years construction and 1 year to put it online, so a total of 4 years before it comes operational.
So hopefully for each budget year, we could hope for some money until the project is completed.
Oh, we'd love
We
to
can
see
always
it.
hope. We
Love
can
to
always
see
hope. And if it's there, I think Mary will be the one to get it.
Yeah,
She's
I
there.
think if you talk into the camera, maybe she'll, Mary.
she does a phenomenal job in getting us money.
Other questions from the board? What's the pleasure of the board?
To the chair.
Treasurer Kavanaugh.
I move for approval and acceptance of the Michigan Enhancement Grant provided by the Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy in the amount of $3 million that will provide grant funding assistance for the Central CSO Basin and Collector Sewer Project.
Support.
Supported by trustee Rees. The motion is for approval and acceptance of the Michigan Enhancement Grant provided by the Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy, Eagle, in the amount of $3 million that will provide grant funding assistance for the Central CSO Basin and Collector Sewer Project. Any other questions? Roll call vote on that.
Trustee Taylor?
Yes.
Trustee Reese?
Yes.
Trustee Jackson?
Yes.
Trustee King?
Yes.
Clerk Sanders, yes. Treasurer Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Supervisor McCray?
Yes, motion carries. Director Dines.
Supervisor. This is part 2 of this process. Don't stop over there.
If I call you Director Dennis, don't be upset. It's like, it's in the system now.
Yeah. Also, as part of this MEG grant, the Michigan Enhancement Grant, we also received a $2 million grant in regards to lead service lines and investigation. We went through the same process to fill out the paperwork and finally got to the point for the grant agreement. What our distribution is, I stated earlier, these funds will be for phase 3. We're starting phase 2 shortly using the drinking water SRF dollars. These will be for phase 3. We're going to allocate approximately $1.2 million for lead replacement and $800,000 for lead investigation, or service line investigations, they're not lead, service line investigations. We do have a defined map, I brought it up earlier. We did a mapping system that shows the same areas by mile, how many unknowns that we don't have, or that we don't know about regarding service lines. So due to their certain rules, and I'll tell you on the phase 4, which will be through HUD, they are mandating that there is prevailing wage, no work in a flood area. Sorry, I get confused, 4 phases that we're doing this year. No work in a flood zone, which we have a flood area in the flood map here at 5 and Beach Daily, or Telegraph and 5, due to the creek. So we aren't going to put any funds down in this area. We're going to start in the south end using certain dollars because of their rules. So these don't have the rules, so we're going to now put these dollars in that district. So we kind of work with the rules that are being given to us at each level. So this again, we're asking the board to approve the grant agreement again between Eagle and Redford Township, for the amount of $2 million that'll be allocated toward lead service line replacement and service line investigations.
Questions from the board? What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chair,
Trustee King.
I move approval and acceptance of the Michigan Enhancement Grant provided by the Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy in the amount of $2 million that will provide grant funding assistance for the replacement of lead service lines and service line verifications.
Support.
Supported by Treasurer Kavanaugh, sorry. The motion is for approval and acceptance of the Michigan Enhancement Grant provided by the Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy, Eagle, in the amount of $2 million that will provide grant funding assistance for the replacement of lead lines lead service lines and service line verifications. Any other discussion? Roll call vote.
Treasurer Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Trustee Jackson.
Yes.
Trustee Taylor.
Yes.
Trustee Reese.
Yes.
Clerk Sanders, yes. Trustee King.
Yes.
Supervisor McCray.
Yes, motion carries. Now we're here, new voice. Director Bonrack. Thank you, Mike, for going through all that stuff, so. My pleasure. Bonrack, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Yes, as I was saying at the last meeting, study session, I really don't know sometimes how he keeps it all straight with all these different projects going on. So speaking to that, since it's in here, before you is the approval of the Water and Sewer Fund fiscal year 2026 recommended budget for Fund 592. This was the subject of our study session that was at 5:30 today. Key things to note in this budget is all of those grants that you just approved, along with the initial payments that are due related to the CSO Basin, all are incorporated into this budget. So the budget itself does look like it's significantly larger year over year, but that is due, the vast majority of that is due to these grants, which is good things for us.
Questions from the board? What's the pleasure of the board?
To the chair.
Trustee Jackson.
I move approval of Fund 592, Water and Sewer Fund, fiscal year 2026, recommended budget.
Support.
Heard by Clerk Sanders. The motion is approval of Fund 592, Water and Sewer Fund, fiscal year 2026 recommended budget. Any other questions? Roll call.
Clerk Sanders, yes. Trustee King.
Yes.
Trustee Reese.
Yes.
Trustee Taylor.
Yes.
Treasurer Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Trustee Jackson.
Yes.
Supervisor McCray.
Yes, motion carries. Director Bonrack.
Thank you. The next item before you is the approval of the resolution to set the water, sewer, and CSO rates as of July 1st, 2025. As we discussed at the last meeting, we will see that, that we're going to have an increase of 59 cents per, we're going to have an increase of 43 cents per unit for water, a decrease of 9 cents per unit for sewer, and an increase of 83 cents per unit for the CSO, bringing our new combined total from $11.45 to $12.62 for a unit of water that is used, and that the base fee for a home that is a 3/4 inch, a 5/8 inch line will go from $31.24 to $34.39. That is all incorporated for you in the resolution.
Questions from the board? I just want to say that there's a lot of work that went into all of this. And we keep saying water is a challenge for everybody. But I think, Adam, you presented this very well to make sure it's understandable, and I appreciate that. So I open up again, questions from the board.
To the chair.
Trustee Reese.
Just to clarify, a unit of water is that the 748 gallons for 100 cubic feet?
It is.
Okay, so it's that increased amount is for 748 gallons of water.
Correct. And, you know, and speaking of, since you mentioned that, because every year, well, it comes up all throughout the year, but it will always come up in the month of July and August when people receive their new bills. We'll see a lot of commentary on social media about it. And sometimes I think people don't understand that the units are such a large amount. And so if you used, 1,500 gallons, you're going to get charged for 2 units. And then that next time you might get charged for 3 units because you used the partial unit in between, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that confuses people sometimes when they're like, but I used the same amount of water. Well, you did, but when we're building off of 748 gallons at a time, that's a lot of showers before you get charged for that next unit that has to get tracked. Mm-hmm. So just something to keep in mind there. And the rate card, of course, that we put together is put in the mailing that is sent out every year to all the homes, the water quality, and in the brochure that Leisure Services does. So residents do receive this.
Any questions from the board? What's the pleasure of the board?
To the chair.
Trustee Taylor.
I move that we approve the resolution setting the water, sewer, and CSO rates as of July 1st, 2025.
Support.
Supported by trustee Jackson. The motion is for approval of the resolution setting the water, sewer, and CSO rates for as of July 1st, 2025. Any other discussion? Roll call vote.
Trustee Jackson?
Yes.
Treasurer Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Trustee King?
Yes.
Trustee Taylor?
Yes.
Trustee Reese?
Yes.
Clerk Sanders, yes. Supervisor McCray?
Yes, motion carries. Director Vonerack.
Thank you. This brings me to my final item on the agenda this evening, which is the approval of the new service agreement with the VC3 effective July 1st, 2025. Legal review has been completed, so it's no longer pending, and legal did sign off on this. VC3 is the successor company to IT Right. We have been working with IT Right in some form or another since 2017. Late in 2018 or early 2019, they actually kind of took over the vast majority of our network and server services and on-site support. And I've come to this body the last couple of years. I've been looking for a way to bring more of that on-site support in-house and looking for a way to bring a project manager in-house. And I finally was able to find someone who could fit that skill set in Muhammad Osaili, who actually worked for VC3. So we kind of stole him.
Yes.
And so that's why everybody's already familiar with him. We've been working with him for the last year and a half. He has just been fantastic to work with. So it just kind of worked out that our contract at VC3 was up anyway and was going to have to come forward for review. And so the contract has been reworked to reflect the fact that they are no longer providing those on-site services. They've kind of gone back to the original format we had, where they're providing the overarching strategic network, cybersecurity, those elements, but all the on-site support will be in-house. VC3 will still be there if we need them. If for some reason Muhammad was on vacation or something like that, everyone still has the ability to reach out to VC3. It's just not part of their day-to-day function. So this was all included in the budget. We budgeted for this year under the assumption that we were going to both hire someone and renew a contract with VC3. And so that's why no budget amendments are needed.
To the chair.
Treasurer Kavanaugh.
What is the total yearly amount for VC3 now? You have monthly.
Yeah, I know. I said monthly tonight. So it's kind of, the way that they're doing this is a little, so it's at 220 plus 44, so 264,000 a year. But that includes all of the software and site support and security and all of that, right? That's all inclusive of all that. So what they used, our prior agreements was strictly like for the staffing, and then they would invoice us separately for all those additional pieces. And now they put it all into one invoice. So that $22,000 a month is all of those pieces together. I'd have to go back to really rework it out as to how that component breaks out.
Thank you.
But all of those additional pieces are the same with them, whether we had hired Muhammad or not, right? Those pieces were the same. The only piece of the contract that changed was the staffing support.
Oh, thank you, and thank you for hiring Mohammed.
Yeah, everyone really likes him,
He's a
so
godsend.
just
He's a
good.
godsend. He's good to work with, so thank you.
To the chair.
Trustee Jackson.
Adam, what's the net change in the total cost with hiring Mohammed and reducing the VC3?
It's a total increase of $12,000 per year for both things together. The benefit of doing that, though, is that instead of having on-site support 2 days a week, now we have on-site support 5 days a week. So that $12,000 gets us 3 extra days.
Yeah.
Good value.
Yep.
Other questions from the board? Hearing none, what's the pleasure of the board?
To the chair.
Treasurer
I move for the approval of the service agreement with VC3 as July 1st of 2025, not pending legal.
Right.
We have got that. That's it. Support.
Supported by Clerk Sanders. There's a motion for approval of the service agreement with VC3 as of July 1st, 2025. Any other discussion? Roll call vote.
Treasurer Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Clerk Sanders, yes. Trustee Jackson?
Yes.
Trustee Reese?
Yes.
Trustee Taylor?
Yes.
Trustee King?
Yes.
Supervisor McCray?
Yes, motion carries. Thank you, Director Bonnerat. Director Mancini. A new voice
And a new face.
and a new face. That's it, that's true, new face.
Good evening, Mr. Supervisor, Honorable Board. Thank you for allowing this cameo into the Mike Dennis Show.
He's not even here to hear it.
Oh, wow. Alcohol.
He usually never listens to me anyway.
Wow. Cameo, I like it.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I come before you tonight with a bid recommendation for the Redford Senior and Community Center parking lot. I'm asking to approve the bid to Bush Brothers Asphalt Paving, Inc. out of Farmington Hills in the amount of $178,896. The parking lot will be paid out of Fund 402 capital reserves.
Questions from the board?
To the chair.
Trustee Jackson.
Director Mancini, I know you had an opportunity to look at the work of the previous person that we were looking at awarding this bid. Have you had an opportunity to look at the work of this particular?
Yes, Bush Brothers has done jobs for the township over the last number of years. The most recent one would be, I believe, a walking trail for leisure services. And then they also did the parking lot at Craft Park. And, you know,
So we have experience.
yeah, we have firsthand experience at this company.
Thank you.
Other questions from the board? Hearing none, what's the pleasure of the board?
To the chair.
Trustee Reese.
I move approval of the bid recommendation, Community Senior Center Parking Lot Replacement Project be awarded to Bush Brothers Asphalt Paving, Farmington Hills, Michigan 48336 in the amount of $178,896 to be paid from Fund 402 capital reserves.
Support.
Supported by Trustee King. So the motion is for approval of the bid recommendation, Community Senior Center Parking Lot Replacement Project to be awarded to Bush Brothers Asphalt Paving Incorporated, Farmington Hills, Michigan 48336 in the amount of $178,896 to be paid from Fund 402 Capital Reserves. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Reese?
Yes.
Clerk Sanders, yes. Treasurer Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Trustee King?
Yes.
Trustee Jackson?
Yes.
Trustee Taylor?
Yes.
Supervisor McCray?
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you.
Director Mancini.
Okay, Mr. Supervisor, Honorable Board, I also come before you tonight with my recommendations for the SNAP Developer Program, the developer selections. An RFQ for the program was issued on May 14th, and there were 3 bid packages submitted on June 5th. The qualifications for each applicant were reviewed and rated using our standard grading system. The 2 developers that scored the highest were HP Snap Investments LLC out of Redford and FPJ Investments LLC out of Detroit. I'm recommending to the board to select both developers to partner with Redford Township for the SNAP Developer Program year 25-26 with a program expiration date of December 31st of 26.
To the chair.
Treasurer Kavanaugh.
How many properties are we expecting roughly? I know it's early.
Yeah, so as of the most recent list, there's approximately 13. Of course, between now and when we actually get the list, that could change.
And just for the board, this is for the right of refusal
Yes.
properties from Wayne County?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
To the chair.
Trustee Jackson.
Director Mancini, the 2 companies that were approved to purchase foreclosed homes are always the same 2 that we approve. Is there an inherent advantage that they have based on the fact that they've always done work with us? So when you're doing the scoring process, do they get points for being people who have done business with us before?
Yeah, so one of the grading is for experience with Redford Township, so they do have an advantage there. In this particular year, the third person that submitted has done work with us many years ago. It was demolition work. They are still active on our SNAP in-house list, and I would say for the past 6 years or so, when I invite them to do bids for our rehab work, they decline the invitation. So I've asked them to bid for us so we can see their work more, have firsthand knowledge of it, and they're just too busy that they don't want to do it. So it kind of works against them. You know, if they did one house for me, they'd get more points and they'd be right up there with them.
Okay, so it's their option.
Yeah, they're invited regularly to bid on our work.
Other questions from the board? Hearing none, what's the pleasure of the board?
To the chair.
Treasurer Kavanaugh.
I move for the approval of the SNAP 2 program, developers, acquisition, redevelopment, and resale of tax foreclosed properties for program year 2025-2026.
Support.
Supported by trustee Taylor. So the motion on the floor is approval of the SNAP 2 program, developers, acquisition, redevelopment, and resale of tax foreclosed properties for program year 25 through 2026. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Trustee King?
Yes.
Trustee Taylor?
Yes.
Trustee Jackson?
Yes.
Clerk Sanders, yes. Trustee Reese?
Yes.
Treasurer Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Supervisor McCray?
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you, Honorable Board. Good evening.
Thank you. Well, we're in the home stretch now.
Okay.
So Clerk Sanders, the floor is yours.
I'm gonna try to make it simple. So what I'm looking to do is get an approval for the first read of ordinance number 223, Municipal Code 66, Article 2, Section 66-31, which is the conditioning for licensing for garage sales. This haven't been touched since 1990, and the residents of Redford was allowed 2 in 1 year, and they had to be 90 days apart. So with that also being said, there was a clause in there that said, you know, in case of an act of God, that, and they also got 6 days, that they could, you know, the clerk could extend it. What I'm looking to do is change it. What I'm looking to change, and it was also $5 for each garage sale. So what I'm looking to do is to take it from 6 days to 5 days. I'm looking to remove that clause. And in removing the clause, I'm looking to add a third opportunity for a garage sale in 1 year and making them 30 days apart. Just to make it fair for everyone, because I just think some of the reasons people were asking for act of God just didn't make it fair for everyone. So that's what I just wanted to do, just make it clear across the board. So I'm just looking for the first read of this.
This I think is I like it. It's something that's overdue. At some point, I know we've talked about the garage sales on the main streets.
Yes.
And hopefully that we can do something to address that, because it's a safety nightmare, especially on Beach Daily. It seems like there's more problem than any other main street that we have.
Yes, I've actually been working with the attorney, and we're looking to also add in the conditioning that the person giving the garage sale is ultimately responsible to ensure that parking, that they're not impeding traffic, or that they're not parking in other people's driveways or things such as that. And also, I want to mention too, like I said, currently, 2 garage sales per year, $5 each one. What I'm asking now is for the first garage sale is $5. The 2 additional are upgraded to $10. Is also what I wanted to make sure I stated.
Yep. Any questions from the board? I mean, we have a copy, it's in red, so the change.
Is $5 an average for, let's say, other communities? I don't know.
Actually, doing research is not. It's not. Yeah, for original, or for just like us, what I'm asking to the first one, yes, but they are increased. They're more than $5.
And is there a reason why we don't increase it, since we've had it for $5 for a long time?
Well, I just assumed because the first one can be 5, but because I'm adding that third one,
Yeah.
just the other 2, if they decide to have 3 in one summer, to increase the second 2.
Okay, all right, thank you.
No worries.
Other questions from the board?
To the chair.
Trustee Reese.
So just to restate, to make sure I'm understanding, so previously you could only have 2, they were $5 each, they had to be 90 days apart, but if you had an act of God, like horrible weather, you could come and say, please give me a defer to another date.
Correct.
Now we're saying you can't get that exemption, but you can do 3, and they can be 30 days. So you could do June 1st, July 1st, August 1st, if you really wanted, and have 3 throughout the summer. It's easier for residents, and it reduces the complexity of people coming in and asking for gate moves, things like that. Is that right?
Yes, just
Okay.
to make it a little bit more clear and concise.
And then with the language around main roads and traffic management, is that something we're looking to do as we,
Yes, I actually, the attorney actually did approve that verbiage just today.
okay.
So for the second read, I will ensure that it is
Okay, great.
placed in.
So we're not going to wait like a year and do it again. We're going to do it in the second reading and actually.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Thank you.
Other questions from the board? Hearing none, what's the pleasure of the board?
To the chair.
Trustee Reese.
I move approval of the first reading of ordinance number 223, Municipal Code 66, Article 2, Section 66-31, conditions of licensing.
Support.
Trustee Taylor. So the motion on the floor is for approval of the first reading of ordinance number 223, Municipal Code 66, Article 2, Section 66-31, conditions of licensing. Any other questions? Roll call vote.
Treasurer Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Clerk Sanders, yes. Trustee Jackson?
Yes.
Trustee Reese?
Yes.
Trustee Taylor?
Yes.
Trustee King?
Yes.
Supervisor McCray?
Yes, motion carries. Last but not least, Clerk Sanders.
Final one, okay. The approval of the peddler's license. What this is actually adding in the ice cream trucks. Because they actually were not under anything. They were kind of, and it was kind of confusing for multiple departments as to who was actually governing those. So now what I want to do is place it under the peddler's license so that it is a little bit more controlled and we can actually add some safety precautions to it because before, now we're asking that the trucks are inspected. We're also asking that they are given a background check and we're also asking on top of the fee that they are paying a $200 bond just to secure the truck and to secure the township. And that way, it's very clear as to who does what. And it's safer for the community because we know who's in our streets and serving our residents and our children.
Questions from the board?
To the chair.
Trustee Jackson.
What's the lifespan of a license? Do you have to do this every year?
Yes.
Or is it a one-time, it's every year?
It's annual.
Okay.
To the chair.
Treasurer Kavanaugh.
I really like the badge thing. That they have to wear it and identify themselves that they've been cleared through us, so, okay. Absolutely, thank you.
To the chair.
Trustee Reese.
So the non-refundable application fee of $275, that's annual, is that correct?
Correct.
And that's already been in place?
Yes,
Is the but it hasn't been for ice cream trucks, that's just been the peddler's license fee?
exactly.
Okay.
Correct.
And then the $200 refundable cash bond, is that a new thing or that's also been part of this?
That's also in our ordinance.
Okay, so those have already existed?
Absolutely.
We're just directing it to make sure we're actually enforcing it with ice cream trucks? Okay.
Absolutely.
Other questions from the board? What's the pleasure of the board?
To the chair.
Trustee Jackson.
I move approval of the peddler license application pending final legal review.
Support.
The motion on the, supported by Treasurer Kavanaugh, the motion on the floor is approval of the peddler license application pending final legal review. Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Announcements from the board. Okay, I just want a quick announcement is that over the past weekend, Leo Snage, who sits on the ZBA and the DDA and the chamber, his mother passed away. So keep the Snage family in your thoughts and prayers. And other than that, I have nothing else, and nothing else will come before the board. Appreciate everybody that's made it through the whole meeting. This was a marathon. Congratulations, you are all winners. This meeting is adjourned.
Here, here.
Thank you.